In a quiet little town tucked deep in southern Alabama, Sheriff Cole Danner was more than just a cop. He was a local legend. The man who'd caught every thief, stopped every fight, and built his reputation on justice. He was the kind of man people trusted blindly. Churches asked him to give speeches, schools named days after him, and the local newspaper called him the People's Sheriff. But behind that polished badge, there was something dark, something that had been buried literally under the very soil he swore to protect. And when a young rookie deputy stumbled across that secret, everything Sheriff Danner had built began to crumble. Deputy Ryan Keller was just 25, new to the force. Straight out of the academy, idealistic, honest, the kind of cop who still believed justice was pure. On his second week, he was assigned what should have been a boring task: review a 2012 missing persons file. A young mechanic named Eddie Calloway, who supposedly ran away after a fight at a local bar. The bar fight had been with none other than Sheriff Danner's son. But the case was written off as a personal dispute. No foul play. No real investigation. Case closed. When Ryan started reading through the old file, something didn't add up. Witness statements were missing. Cell phone records were half-printed. The photos were cropped strangely, cutting out people's faces. Even the officer's notes were written in vague, careless handwriting. Ryan thought maybe it was just poor record-keeping, until he found a witness slip signed by Danner himself. Approving the case closure on the same day Eddie vanished. Curious, Ryan decided to drive out to the last known location, the old mining road, 5 miles outside town. The place was deserted, lined with rusted machinery and tall pines bending in the wind. While he was parked there, an old man from a nearby property walked up. "You looking for Eddie again?" The man asked, squinting at the badge. Ryan froze. "You knew him?" The man nodded. "Good kid. Worked at my shop. Sheriff told us to stop asking questions." That line stuck with Ryan for days. Sheriff told us to stop asking questions. That night, Ryan mentioned it to his partner, Deputy Carla Ruiz, a tough, no-nonsense veteran who'd been on the force for over a decade. She looked uneasy and said quietly, "Ryan, don't dig into that case. Danner doesn't like ghosts." Ryan laughed it off, but deep down, he felt it. Something was wrong here. A few nights later, he sneaked into the evidence room. He found a sealed box labeled 2012, missing Calloway, A, but when he opened it, it was nearly empty. No photos, no notes, just a single item, a rusted belt buckle with the initials EC. Scratched in. He took a picture and tried to upload it to the digital record system. Within minutes, his access was revoked. His computer flashed red, unauthorized access. Report to sheriff's office. When he walked into Danner's office, the sheriff was already waiting, calm, smiling. "Son," Danner said, "we don't reopen dead cases without my approval." "Understood?" Ryan nodded, but something in Danner's voice felt like a threat disguised as advice. And behind those pale gray eyes, Ryan swore he saw fear. A week later, Ryan's patrol car was hit on a back highway by a black SUV that ran a stop sign. No license plates. No witnesses. He survived with minor injuries, but the car was totaled. In the hospital, as he lay bandaged and shaken, the sheriff came to visit. "Careless mistake, son," Danner said with a tight grin. "Could have been worse." Then he leaned closer and whispered, "Sometimes digging up the past buries you instead." Ryan realized right then, the crash wasn't an accident. He knew he needed proof, something undeniable. That's when Carla, his partner, stepped in. She'd found Ryan's notes in his locker and pieced the clues together. Something in her broke. Years of silence, of looking the other way, finally weighed too heavy to out late one night. She drove out to Danner's private land, near the same mines where Eddie was last seen. She'd heard rumors the sheriff used that property for training exercises, but no one had ever been invited there. The gate was unlocked. She followed a dirt trail to an old hunting shed tucked behind a row of dead trees. Inside, under a tarp, she found a locked metal chest. She broke it open with her baton and froze. Inside was a small leather-bound journal, pages filled with Danner's handwriting. And on one page, a chilling line, EC caught snooping around again. Had to deal with it fast. No one will dig that deep. Her hands trembled as she took photos of every page. But before she could leave, she heard it, the low growl of an engine outside. Headlights flooded the shed. Sheriff Danner stepped out, gun drawn. "What are you doing here, Ruse?" he said, voice calm but deadly cold. She backed up slowly. "I know what you did to Eddie Calloway." Danner's mouth twitched. "You think you're the first to say that?" He raised the gun. But before he could fire, another voice shouted, "Drop it." Ryan had followed Carla's signal from her dash cam. He was standing in the doorway, gun aimed at the sheriff. For a second, no one moved. Then 2 shots rang out. Danner stumbled back, clutching his shoulder. The gun clattered to the floor. Ryan moved in, cuffed him, hands shaking. For the first time in 22 years, Sheriff Cole Danner was under arrest. The FBI came in the next morning. They cordoned off the area and began digging. 2 hours later, they found what Ryan had feared: human remains buried beneath the old mining road. Dental records confirmed the body was Eddie Calloway. The same belt buckle Ryan had found in the evidence box was still around the skeleton's waist, but the story didn't end there. Inside Danner's journal, investigators found entries dating back over a decade, coded notes, initials, and references to other problems he'd handled quietly. Within weeks, they linked 3 other missing persons cases to Danner's jurisdiction. He'd used his badge to silence people burying bodies beneath county-funded construction sites and reporting them as accidents. The trial became national news. The people's sheriff turned out to be one of the most dangerous men in Alabama's law enforcement history. Prosecutors revealed a tangled web of corruption, deputies who looked the other way, a judge who owed Danner favors, clerks who destroyed evidence. The entire Brookhaven County system was rotten from top to bottom. When Ryan testified, the courtroom fell silent. His voice shook, but his words cut deep. Justice doesn't mean protecting each other. It means protecting the truth. Danner was sentenced to life without parole. Carla and Ryan both resigned soon after, disgusted by how deep the rot went. The state dissolved the entire Brookhaven County Sheriff's Department within months. 3 years later, Ryan returned to the rebuilt station, now operated under state control. Outside stood a memorial stone, freshly polished. At the top was engraved one name, Eddie Calloway. Ryan placed the old rusted belt buckle beside the plaque. He stared at it for a moment, then whispered, "I kept my promise." As he walked away, the morning sun broke through the clouds, warm light spilling across the quiet town that had once been ruled by fear. For the first time in a decade, Brookhaven finally felt clean, because no matter how deep you bury a secret, the truth always finds a way to rise.